Welcome to Dire Headlines. I'm Anthony Carlisle. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, we bring you an update on Tsuji's response to the Japan earthquake as volunteers prepare to deliver hot food to tsunami-hit villages. How ready is Taiwan for a similar disaster? We investigate local efforts to build early warning systems that can give people a window of opportunity before a quake arrives. And not forgetting the earthquake that devastated Christchurch in New Zealand, local Tsuji volunteers deliver blankets and cash cards to a hard-hit community. Japanese Tsuji volunteers are getting ready to launch their aid mission to affected areas in Japan. The team have secured a travel permit to go to the tsunami-hit areas and will start by cooking 2 meals a day for 300 people in Orai, which is 2 hours' drive northeast of Tokyo. Although few casualties have been reported in Orai, water and natural gas are in short supply, so the villagers are unable to cook food. Volunteers have obtained a travel permit for the area and are ready to deliver daily hot meals to the most needy, starting on Wednesday. In another development, Tsuji Japan is launching a fundraising campaign this coming weekend on Saturday and Sunday, March 19th and 20th. As the full extent of the destruction wrought by the Sendai earthquake emerges, people all over the world are being inspired to lend a helping hand. Some people turned up at Tsuji's office in the Shinjuku ward of Tokyo to offer their assistance, and one Tsuji volunteer offered a ride to workers heading into the city.
In Japan, the first workday after last Friday's earthquake puts Tokyo's transportation system to the test. A Tsuji volunteer driving to the Tsuji office in Shinjuku decides to offer a ride to the large crowd waiting for a bus.
I saw a huge crowd waiting for the bus. I was in a hurry and couldn't wait. I had been caught in the same predicament where you don't have time to wait for the bus and can't get to your destination on foot. I couldn't carry everyone, so I just asked casually. It's only a seat in the car. It's a waste with just myself in the car anyway.
Even though Wang Meiling was in a hurry, she generously offered others in need a ride, who in turn decided to pay her for her kindness. Unable to decline, Wang Meiling donates the sum 2,000 yen they gave her. In aftermath of the terrible disaster, acts of love and kindness occur throughout Japan. At the Tsuji office, many overseas Taiwanese come to share their love with the needy. Some help post searching for loved ones' requests on bulletin boards on the internet. Some help make miniature Jinsi aphorism cards to empower others. These volunteers come from all walks of life and all searched out Tsuji on their own.
I called the Taiwan consulate for the local contact information of the Tsuji Foundation. I'm saddened by the recent tragedy. My friends have lost their loved ones in Miyagi Prefecture.
A natural disaster of this scale has saddened the hearts of people around the world, inspiring compassion to help those in need.
In our next story, we look back at Tsuji's response to the Japan earthquake in the chaotic days immediately after the disaster. The office in the Shinjuku area of Tokyo stayed open so people walking home could rest, and volunteers also helped overseas Taiwanese find their relatives.
A cataclysmic 9.0 magnitude earthquake struck northeast Japan in the afternoon of March 11th.
It shook for a long time and we all knelt down to pray to the Buddha and went in. Although we were startled, we kept our composure to comfort the more frightened volunteers. It is the first time we had experienced such a big one.
Inside the Tsuji office in Tokyo, the all-women volunteers stood firm despite the cracked walls and ravaged workspace with fallen items. They set aside their personal fears and started thinking about those in need. The Tsuji headquarters in Hualien, Taiwan established a command center, with the Tokyo office as the local coordination center.
We must gather information from each area. We must find out which areas are the hardest hit and in the most need. This is our focus. We will do our best with those hearts and souls rattled by such a big disaster. We will carry out relief work to the best we can.
After the initial tremor, small and large aftershocks continued, halting Tokyo's mass transportation system. Eager to be reunited with their loved ones, people had to walk for hours. Though among the stranded, Tsuji volunteers opened their office to the public to come in, take a break, have a drink, and warm up.
We empathized with them. We thought at least we could let them come in and rest for a while. If they still had a long walk home, we could at least give them a cup of hot tea and let them rest up a bit to recharge their energy.
One Tzu walked over 2 hours to get here. Fortunately, we had just prepared some bread, which he ate. He wanted to come and help, so he started walking from a little after 4 o'clock and got here at 7.
Some walked to be reunited with their families, others walked to help. That evening, 350 people stopped over at this rest station, which stayed open all night long.
Some Taiwanese students came by to borrow our computers to stay in touch with their families back home because their mobile phones were not able to reach Taiwan either. There was also a Taiwanese tourist who experienced a 9/1 earthquake in Taiwan and now experienced such a big tremor in Japan. He was thankful that Tzu Chi gave him a glass of water and a place to sit down and rest.
Without getting much sleep that evening, the office was bustling with activity again the next morning, coordinating every step with the command center in Taiwan. The first step is to inventory and repack the supplies inside the office so they can be sent out immediately if needed.
I believe residents inside the emergency shelters are in need of assistance, but we can't go over now. Why not? Because of the downed roadways and the nuclear radiation. If we go in now, we would only inconvenience others. Besides, now is the time for saving lives. We will, of course, make our move in a timely fashion, but in a carefully planned and sturdy fashion.
Disoriented by the disaster, many overseas Taiwanese called the Tokyo office for help. And like family, volunteers did their best. Even when reporters from Taiwan became stranded, they thought of calling Tzu Chi first.
TVBS reporters were trapped in Sendai by the train station. I gave them directions on how to get out of there. I told them, you must do your best to get out. Just follow the mountain path, which is passable. Don't dwell in that area anymore. You must get out. Then our local member told me the reporters had left when I couldn't reach them through cell phone. So I called their office in Taiwan to let them know their crew were okay.
The third day after the disaster, phone lines out of the country remained disabled. For those Taiwanese eager to reach their loved ones in Japan, Tzu Chi became missing person agency.
We've dedicated a line for people to call and then passes the information to Japan's Emergency Response Center, which did its best to help us track the missing down so that their families in Taiwan could rest easy. If the phone rings, we will follow through.
Whatever had to be done, the volunteers did it. In 2 days, everything is ready to carry out a hot meal service as soon as someone makes a request.
We've already prepared everything. We can provide between 500 and 2,000 hot meals. If necessary, we can increase that number. All our equipment has been thoroughly prepared.
With the accumulated experience from worldwide disasters, Tzu Chi always responds quickly but cautiously. After such a huge earthquake, volunteers are looking for possible opportunities to show their compassion.
The magnitude 9 earthquake that hit Japan last Friday affected more than just people in disaster areas. As viewers across the world were shocked by images of the disaster, some developed signs of post-traumatic stress disorder. Mental health specialists at Taichung Tzu Chi Hospital had some advice for our sensitive viewers.
The tsunami triggered by the magnitude 9.0 earthquake decimated large areas of northeast Japan, leaving behind scenes of pandemonium that are not for the faint-hearted.
The same image was repeatedly played on TV, which made me feel very depressed and very sad. It was like reliving the 8/8 floods when the wind and rain pounded us.
It made me realize just how fragile life is in the face of Mother Nature. An earthquake or tsunami comes along and everything is taken away instantaneously.
The horrific earthquake has generated profound fear in people, causing insomnia and nightmares typical of acute stress disorder.
Dizziness, headaches, gastrointestinal discomfort, even insomnia, palpitations and cold flashes are all possible symptoms. Low moods will also be experienced.
Patients who are experiencing a loss of appetite and listlessness are advised to avoid any disaster-related news to give the mind some rest and peace. If insomnia occurs for more than 3 days, however, it is vital to seek professional help.
If you feel emotionally affected, talk to someone you trust, stick to your daily routine and go to sleep at the usual time. Avoid reading about the disaster.
As the world prays for Japan, all hearts become one, repenting irresponsible human actions and sending out love to those in need.
Here in Taiwan, the Thai Power Company is preparing its engineers to cope with problems similar to those faced at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, which went into crisis after last Friday's quake.
In southern Taiwan, engineers at Taiwan Power Company's No. 3 nuclear plant are undergoing an emergency drill to prepare against possible power outages. Once emergency generators come online, adjustments have to be made to the reactors. Learning from the recent Japanese nuclear incidents, the plant has been conducting tests on all of its 5 emergency generators for the past few days to make sure the plant's reactors will be able to function properly or shut down properly in the event of a catastrophe. The plant also has a 50,000-ton tank for emergency cooling. Nearby residents are also aware of emergency procedures.
Of course, I'm nervous after seeing what happened to Japan. After all, it's such an unimaginable catastrophe.
The plant has distributed iodine tablets to its neighbors in the past, but they have long expired or been misplaced. Local officials take the opportunity to hand out new tablets and also pass on proper safety measures.
Take this in the event of nuclear contamination. Do not take it unnecessarily.
The Japan quake has got its neighbors on the Pacific Ring of Fire on the edge of their seats. In Taiwan, people are getting ready just in case.
Staying in Taiwan, the government is building a marine observatory 45 kilometers out to sea to monitor volcanic activity on the ocean floor. Called the Marine Cable Hosted Observatory, or MACHO for short, the experts say the system will extend Taiwan's advanced earthquake warning system from the land out to sea. Still in the lab, this underwater seismometer will soon be detecting activity of a seabed volcano off the coast of Taiwan. Measurements will be sent back to the observatory through a 45-kilometer-long fiber optic cable in an extension of Taiwan's earthquake warning system from land to sea.
Seismic waves transmitted to the land move at the speed of sound, but our data is sent at the speed of light to land. The top speed of a tsunami is the same as a jet plane, about 1,000 kilometers an hour, so we have a full 20 minutes before the tsunami hits.
A 20-minute advanced warning gives enough time to react. The underwater cable can also collect data from different monitors to help forecast the weather and improve the accuracy of typhoon predictions.
The most difficult point is when the typhoon is about to reach Taiwan and is only 100 to 200 kilometers away, when we can predict its direction. But if we have a marine observatory, we can make better forecasts.
The scientists say even if we have a tsunami warning system in place, regular drills to train the public to be ready for disasters are still the best way to prevent further tragedies. You may have noticed that Japanese people get aftershock warnings on their cell phones. Here in Taiwan, the government has installed detection and early warning devices in vulnerable schools and colleges around the island. In our next story, we go to Fanghe Junior High School to see how the system works. When the monitors detect a coming earthquake, the PA system and LED signs immediately send out warnings. This is an earthquake drill at Fanghe Junior High School in Taipei. The advanced warning system was installed by Taiwan's National Center for Research on Earthquake Engineering.
For example, if the earthquake is magnitude 5, you have to take cover under the desk or evacuate. We prepare the responses first, and when the quake warning comes, we send out the alarm and tell you what to do. The screens tell you what to do, so you just follow what it says on the signs and in the announcement.
The advanced warning system relies on monitors which measure the strength of primary or P waves that move at a speed of 6 to 7 kilometers a second. Secondary or S waves travel at 3 to 4 kilometers a second, so P waves arrive before S waves. Sending out an alarm when P waves are detected gives a window of opportunity to escape before the more violent S waves arrive.
After monitoring the faster P waves, we can tell you how strong the coming earthquake will be and respond in time. The delay can be 10 seconds or tens of seconds, depending on how far away the epicenter is.
Already part of life in Japan, this technology is still being tested in Taiwan, but the experts are confident that advanced warnings will soon be an important part of the local disaster prevention mechanism. As relief work forges ahead in quake-stricken Japan, New Zealand's Christchurch, which suffered a major tremor on February 22nd, is still trying to pick itself up. On Saturday, March 12th, in collaboration with the local Salvation Army, Tzu held an aid distribution for 132 households in the community of Aranui, handing out blankets, aid packages, first aid kits and cash cards to the amount of 100 New Zealand dollars each.
Working together to move the boxes of aid supplies, New Zealand Tzu volunteers, several Taiwanese expatriates and even a backpacker from France are not put off by the labour involved.
Lost a house, so everything in the Christchurch aspect. And I think they will need these blankets because they don't have power and start to be cold.
Aid recipients from Illinois arrive before the Tzu distribution begins, lining up and waiting patiently for their turn. Blankets, cash cards to the value of 100 New Zealand dollars and other daily necessities have been prepared for the 132 receiving households. The sympathetic volunteers offer gentle words of encouragement to the quake victims. United in prayer, memories of the quake and the heartfelt warmth from the community reduced some victims to tears. Here in the suburb of Aranui, where there are incidents of alcoholism and drug abuse, local police officers show up at the aid distribution to ensure public safety. However, to everyone's relief, the event is carried out in peace and love.
So thank you from our hearts to you. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you from everybody in the community that you have decided to come to.
I think your organisation has done a wonderful, wonderful job for the community of Aranui.
Reading out Master Zheng Yan's letter of sympathy to Japan, New Zealand Tzu volunteers who understand their pain having suffered a devastating tremor last month pray sincerely for Japan's quake and tsunami survivors.
A fire in Manila of the Philippines earlier this month burned down 25 squatter houses. Though no one died in the incident, 25 families were made homeless by the blaze. Tzu volunteers arrived the very next day to assess the situation and immediately returned to distribute aid. We are grateful for the relief items such as food.
Tzu's missions are great. I rarely see organizations like this.
Despite losing everything to a fire, disaster victims pick up the usable items from their burnt houses. Though residents live in squatter housing, Philippine Tzu volunteers arrive a day after the blaze to assess their situation and hand out distribution coupons. On the same day, the volunteers returned for an aid distribution, bringing support in the residents' hours of need, and praying together for a disaster-free world.
This is my first time meeting the group. The volunteers share ideals on compassion and doing good deeds. After the prayer, I get the message they're trying to pass on.
Among the volunteers, many are senior residents with white hair or glasses, all working together to help residents on the path to recovery, which is a moving scene to many victims.
I hope I can help other people just like how you help us.
On this day, the 16th of March, Taiwan Provincial Governor Huang Jie arrived at Tainan's Zhongxiao New Village for its opening ceremony on this day in 1968. Constructed by the government, the first newly built affordable housing in the country consisted of 3-floor blocks with 156 households at 26.4 square meters each. Beginning on this day in 1992, Taiwan enforced a nationwide PET bottle recycling reward system. A year later, the recycling rate for plastic bottles reached the high 80%. Despite the cancellation of the system in 2002 due to lack of funding, Taiwan's PET bottle recycling rate is over 90% today. On this day in 2001, Da'ai TV became available over the internet, so news and other shows of all categories could be watched online. The website provides a range of services including the station's program list, news and written introductions to its programs. Thailand Tzu volunteers accompanied by local teachers and students regularly visit care recipients in the community of Ban Pyo. In their latest trip, 5 volunteering 12th graders were much inspired by the life of an 18-year-old girl who was paralyzed in a road accident. They also met Grandma Tong Lai, a smiley senior whose optimism and hardiness was a model for all.
Even though this volunteer isn't a professional hairdresser, Grandma Tong Lai trusts her with her hair because they have already established a close friendship through regular visits. Grandma Tong Lai may be poor, but she keeps her house homely and neat. Always full of smiles, the old lady's cheerfulness and passion for life is an inspiration for the caregivers. Elsewhere in Ban Pyo community, paralyzed 18-year-old Ms. Kun cannot speak due to a tracheotomy, but she is visibly thrilled to receive visitors. These high school students will be graduating this year, sing and dance to cheer Ms. Kun on. The song about a mother's love reduces Ms. Kun to tears and helps the young students realize how precious life is. Helping Ban Pyo's care recipients clean up their environment, volunteers old and young relish the familiar atmosphere that helps them realize just how blessed they all are.
Students at National Taiwan Normal University folded paper birds to raise money for Japanese earthquake relief. We'll leave you with these images. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.